I want war with all of you. Write your articles, issue your statements, email the White House. I want war with all of you. Those are Candace Owens' exact words, and she is not playing anymore. While everyone is still mourning Charlie Kirk, his widow Erika is already back on stage, smiling, promoting new projects, and shutting down anyone who dares to ask real questions. Something about that does not sit right with a lot of people, and Candace is calling it out loudly and directly. Candace Owens just went completely nuclear on Erika Kirk.
Okay, from whoever, saying that the person that you love most in this world and the person that you are married to has been shot. How fast are you getting off that phone?
Mikey started calling me.
I called Erika.
Called me within seconds. And I'll never forget him just being like, Charlie's been shot. He's been shot. Get the kids. Get security. Get the kids. Get the kids. He's been shot. I sprinted out of her treatment center, just collapsed in the middle of the parking lot.
And this is not just about grief or emotions. Candace believes there is active sabotage happening right now. People running interference and covering up what really happened to Charlie Kirk. Here is what we are going to break down together.
So many people have been writing into us, sending us emails, people that are paying in super chats, asking me to address Erika Kirk. And I guess my question back would be, what is there for me to address? She hasn't sat down for a long interview. All we have seen from Erika has been the speech at the memorial event for Charlie Kirk. I see the innuendo that is online. I am interested in investigating who killed Charlie Kirk. And the people that I have been reserving my ire for, my smoke for, my investigation for, are the people that are blatantly lying, okay? People that are just lying about Charlie Kirk. That was my reason for going after Alex Clark. She lied about the Catholic thing. That was my reason for going after Andrew Colvett, Mikey McCoy. Anybody that's told a lie, Rob McCoy, blood all over him, you got my attention. What lie has Erika told that I'm supposed to be focused on? Okay, like, has she said something about, did she come out and say, Charlie never had an issue? I don't know, it just feels so unfair to me to assign the amount of pressure that is on her right now. She has not come out and said anything to me that makes her suspicious, because I understand how that organ works, and I understand how people, when they are motivated by money, how they don't even think about these things. It can be so gross. See this go out, irrespective of how you feel. You should know that those decisions are not made by Erika. That's been to a company of that size and that scale, okay? Their focus is going to be something different. And she has had, I think, a tremendous amount of grace in the speech that she gave, which I thought was very inspiring. And we should similarly have grace, give her time.
First, the shocking phone call discrepancy between Mikey McCoy and Erika Kirk. Their versions of that critical moment do not line up at all. Next, why Candace believes Erika's public forgiveness speech came way too quickly and felt scripted, controlled, and calculated rather than genuine. Then we will look at footage that reportedly vanished within minutes of the shooting and why that timing raises serious questions. Finally, we will dig into how insiders around Turning Point USA might be working behind the scenes to manage the narrative and keep certain details out of public view. Stay with me, because once you see all these pieces side by side, it becomes a lot harder to believe this is just a tragic story and not an active, ongoing cover-up. Before I start this video, let me make one thing clear. I'm not going to re-explain what happened to Charlie Kirk. If you're here, you already know. So let's get straight to the real story.
Zoom in on that here in a second, and then you can see him walking out on his phone behind a tent. Charlie is getting loaded into the van, and Mikey is seen over here, back turned on the phone. This is weird, right? But even weirder is this. Zooming in closer, Mikey's reaction right when Charlie was shot. Look, he pulls his phone out to his ear without even pressing any buttons. Watch closely. Arms folded, phone right to his...
Back in 2018, Charlie practically predicted his own death. In his messages to Candace, he said, "I might not see this revolution through." Hearing that now, after everything that happened, is deeply unsettling. But here's what has Candace Owens genuinely disturbed. Erika Kirk went from grieving widow to CEO and chairman in a matter of days. No pause, no push for answers, no demand for transparency. Instead of questioning anything, she's preaching forgiveness and talking about moving forward as if nothing is unresolved. Meanwhile, key evidence is delayed, restricted, or quietly disappearing. And anyone who dares to ask legitimate questions is immediately labeled a conspiracy theorist or even attacked as being anti-Christian. That's a very convenient way to silence the conversation, and Candace isn't letting it slide. This is where things go from strange to unbelievable. Within 834 milliseconds of the gunshot, less than a single second, Mikey McCoy already had his phone pressed to his ear. No flinch, no ducking, no panic. He just turned, walked away, and made a calm phone call as if nothing catastrophic had just happened. Meanwhile, the people around him are screaming, scattering, and diving for safety. And this is exactly where Candace Owens sees a serious problem. Pastor Rob McCoy, Mikey's father, insists that Mikey called him immediately and said, "Dad, Charlie's been shot in the neck." But Erika Kirk is now telling a totally different story, claiming she was on the phone with Mikey right after the shooting. Both of these statements cannot be true at the same time, so someone is lying or someone is hiding something. And the reason this matters is huge. The official timeline keeps changing. If Mikey knew it was a neck shot within seconds, how did he know that? Witnesses reported no visible blood on him at all. Yet Pastor Rob claims Mikey was covered in it. Those two descriptions are completely incompatible. Security and behavioral experts have stepped in with their own analysis. During an unexpected shooting, normal human reactions fall into 3 categories. Freeze in shock, try to help the victim, run away for safety. Mikey did none of these. He calmly made a phone call and walked off. So Candace raises the question everyone else is too scared to say out loud. Who was he actually calling? And why was making that call his very first reaction? Because let's be honest, if your close friend gets shot inches from you, your instinct is not to pull out your phone and have a calm conversation. That is not how humans respond to immediate trauma. And the fact that this detail keeps getting reshaped, retold, and contradicted should concern everyone watching this unfold. Let's break down this timeline.
I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night, okay? I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth, that's it, okay? You don't hide it, you don't try to obfuscate it, you don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately.
Because this is where things start looking seriously off. September 10th, Charlie is killed. By September 19th to 21st, barely 10 days later, Erika is on stage calling for immediate forgiveness. Think about that. 10 days from grieving widow to "I forgive the person who killed my husband." Yes, everyone handles grief differently, but Candace, and a lot of others, notice something deeper. Erika's behavior doesn't look shattered, it looks prepared. Her interviews, her photos, her media appearances, they all follow the same script. Move forward. Forgive. Support Turning Point. This is what Charlie would want. But here's what's missing. No demand for transparency, no push for answers, no visible anger, no genuine public grief. Even Joe Rogan weighed in. He said that when someone close to you gets shot, the only real reaction at first is shock. Erika's reaction, though, looks like brand preservation, not heartbreak. While the investigation into Charlie's death is stalling and raising more questions than answers, Erika is already promoting TPUSA's next phase, acting like the chapter is closed. Candace summarized it perfectly. If my husband died like that, I would tear the earth apart to find out who did it and why. That's how most people would react. But instead, what we're seeing is forgiveness without accountability, calm messaging instead of real transparency, smooth PR statements instead of truth. Real transparency means documents released, timelines clarified, evidence shown, and names exposed. But none of that is happening. Instead, the public is getting carefully worded, tightly polished talking points about healing and moving forward. It doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel emotional. This is where everything shifts from suspicious to genuinely alarming. Within just 4 minutes of the shooting, a Turning Point USA staffer physically removed a surveillance camera. Not a random camera, the one facing the key angle of the incident. When Candace confronted him, his explanation was, "I didn't want Erika to see traumatic footage." But that excuse collapses immediately. Candace had already seen that same footage over FaceTime. There was no visible blood, and it was actually the least graphic angle available. So the real question becomes, why was removing evidence the first priority instead of preserving a crime scene? And why has none of the footage been released to the public, despite TPUSA promising a full transparency report? To this day, nothing. No report, no footage, no accountability. The official narrative says Charlie was shot at close range with a high-powered rifle. Gun experts are calling that impossible. A caliber that strong would have gone straight through the body, no debate. Yet the official explanation is that Charlie's bones were so dense, they stopped the bullet. Gun experts responded bluntly, "That makes no sense. This caliber could drop a moose." It gets worse. The exact area where Charlie fell was repaved within 48 hours. Why the rush? Investigators also found that the stage had underground tunnels and access points. If a shooter had fired from below rather than at a distance, the entire official trajectory collapses. But even suggesting this gets people labeled, silenced, or attacked. Now let's talk about the people who aren't talking. Allegations about inappropriate closeness with young male interns, connected to a suspicious orphanage project in Ukraine, fluent Russian speaker with Soviet studies background. He's the one who originally introduced Charlie to Erika. Coincidence or strategic placement? Became chief of staff in January 2024. Insiders say he was positioned to replace Charlie long before Charlie died. His father, Rob McCoy, co-chairs the TPUSA Faith Division. After Charlie's death, the entire power structure stayed perfectly intact. Convenient doesn't even begin to describe it. This is where the investigation moves from suspicious to outright bizarre. Just days before the shooting, a military plane from Egypt landed in Provo. It arrived full and then left mostly empty hours after Charlie died. 3 days later, another Egyptian military plane departed the same area. And here's the part that stunned Candace. This wasn't a one-off. This same Egyptian aircraft had been tracked near TPUSA events for years. Candace uncovered a timeline pattern that's impossible to ignore, 2023 to 2025. Every time these Egyptian planes entered the US, they appeared near TPUSA Faith events. In Nebraska, the Lincoln chapter launched days after a plane arrival. In Kansas, major TPUSA activities aligned with the plane's presence. And the Utah event, the one before the assassination, was the final plane arrival before Charlie was killed. This pattern didn't happen once, it happened repeatedly. The money problem nobody will discuss. Insiders say Charlie didn't truly know where all of TPUSA's money came from or where it went. That's why he formed an internal group called the Doge Team to investigate the organization's finances. What they found raised eyebrows. Large sums of money coming in fast, disappearing even faster. Financial trails that made no sense. Transactions that looked deliberately obscured. Then there's Sean Foy, a TPUSA Faith contributor, who was accused of fraud and embezzlement, using ministry funds for personal expenses. That scandal was quietly buried. After Tucker Carlson criticized Israel at a TPUSA event, high-level donors panicked. Charlie was flown to the Hamptons for what insiders call an intervention about his stance on Israel. And here's the bombshell. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu personally called Charlie, invited him to Israel, and offered major financial support. Charlie turned it down. His exact words were, "I don't know where this money is coming from." 2 weeks later, he was dead. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's one of the biggest coincidences in this entire story, and it lands uncomfortably close to the truth Charlie was trying to uncover. The FBI's handling of this case is riddled with contradictions, and every new statement only makes things more suspicious. At first, the FBI claimed that Tyler Robinson turned himself in and confessed. Then, suddenly, they reversed course and said, "Robinson is refusing to cooperate and won't answer questions. Both statements cannot be true." So which version is the lie? Then there are the text messages they released. One of them says, "Remember, it was only me. Don't look for anyone else." No real person texts like that. It reads like a script someone wants the public to believe. The FBI even pushed a claim that a bullet was engraved with a message, which firearm experts immediately exposed as physically impossible for that caliber. It cannot happen. The pressure and velocity would obliterate any engraving instantly. After massive public pressure, Kash Patel pushed the FBI to release a statement dismissing conspiracy theories. They said they had reviewed hand gestures, plane transponders, bullet trajectories, but offered zero evidence, zero documents, and zero transparency. Candace hit back hard. "You're playing defense because you've never played offense." Mainstream outlets have gone into full attack mode, branding anyone with doubts, including Candace, as a conspiracy theorist. But they never address a single contradiction in the official story. Worse, some Christian Zionist influencers are aggressively shaming anyone who asks legitimate questions, calling them unchristian or disrespectful. It feels less like outrage and more like protection, like they're defending something deeper. Recently, Erika called for cameras in the courtroom, claiming she wants everything out in the open, but she still hasn't released TPUSA's internal footage. Financial documents, staff communications, surveillance videos they promised in their full transparency report. Critics say this is a familiar tactic, look transparent without actually being transparent. And when you look at the entire pattern, from missing footage to contradictory timelines to staged messages, that explanation fits perfectly. This story is no longer just about one man's death. It's about power, money, faith organizations, and foreign influence converging in a way that looks anything but random. There is a long, unsettling pattern of so-called random incidents happening around people who get too close to sensitive information. Think about Michael Hastings, the journalist who exposed a US general and then died in a highly unusual car explosion. These kinds of convenient deaths have happened before. They happen when someone edges too close to the truth. Candace has been digging into patterns of faith infiltration, and what she has uncovered is deeply troubling. Calvary Chapel links to multiple scandals. Lou Taylor, the same woman connected to Britney Spears' conservatorship, has ties to Calvary Chapel. Strong LDS and Mormon involvement in intelligence recruitment. Christian Zionism being used to steer political messaging. Megachurches with massive unexplained cash flow. And yes, remember the money hidden inside the walls at Joel Osteen's church. All of this forms a network that raises more questions than answers. Back in 2018, Charlie texted Candace, "I might not see the end of this revolution. I dream about dying young. Since the start of TPUSA, I knew I might get wiped out." These weren't random thoughts, they were premonitions. Right before Tucker Carlson's controversial Israel speech, Charlie told him backstage, "Go hard on Israel." Days later, donors intervened, demanding Charlie stay firmly pro-Israel. He refused their money, and then shortly after, he was dead. The dots connecting around him form a picture no one wants to admit is real, but it's becoming impossible to ignore. Erika Kirk continues running TPUSA, doing interviews and shaping the public narrative. Mainstream media is completely ignoring the inconsistencies in the investigation. Tyler Robinson remains in custody with no confirmed trial date or public updates. And Candace Owens keeps investigating despite threats, attacks, and coordinated attempts to silence her. Her message is simple: I demand truth. Christ is truth. You can forgive, but you must also demand accountability. She says there is only one person who could make her stop: Erika Kirk. Unless Erika personally asks her to stop, she isn't backing down. If telling the truth makes me crazy, then call me insane. Look at everything we just covered. Ask yourself, do Erika's actions look normal for someone who just lost her husband? Does this timeline feel organic or orchestrated? Are we seeing a massive cover-up unfold in real time? Or is this simply grief expressed in a way most people don't understand? Drop your theories in the comments. The investigation isn't over. The truth doesn't disappear, it waits to be uncovered.